Yama Man again. How are you? Right, back for another video here. So as you've probably seen in a couple of my videos, been talking about potentially looking at doing a video on the Yamaha Tricity 300 and my viewpoints on it. Now, personally, I don't own the bike, so this is my only thought process from seeing the bike, looking at the specifications of the bike, and what I basically think of it, what I probably agree with it, and what I don't agree with. Now, I'm not expecting you to obviously completely agree with me. This is just solely my personal experiences that I would just like to share on my channel. Right, so without further ado, let's have a look into this new Yamaha Tricity 300, shall we? Okay, so it's obviously just been released, hasn't it, as of this year, with all obviously global events kicking off and whatnot. Obviously, I believe it's still delayed even now, even in showrooms. There's a showroom Yamaha dealership near me that's not even got one in at the moment. But I obviously went to the Birmingham NEC last year before everything kicked off and actually seen the demo model. Yeah, it at the side of the 125, it absolutely dwarfs it. It's beautiful. It's a big machine, and styling wise, yeah, it looks good. It looks good. So before I get into everything, what I probably agree and don't agree with the bike, let me just have a look at the actual specifications, shall we? I've got them written down here. So, Yamaha Tricity 300. It's marketed as a 300 Tricity. However, the cylinder capacity is actually an official 292 cc's. Now, that I will probably go into a bit more detail a bit later. So the tyres are a 120/70/14 for the front and a 140/70/14 for the rear. So on this particular model, they're now equally matched, whereas obviously like my 125, it's a 14 on the front, 13 on the rear. Carries 29 Newton meters of torque and approximately 27 brake horsepower. Now the only other thing I have with this, and we'll talk about this one, it weighs, get ready, for a 300, well, not even officially a 300cc bike, 239 kilos. That's nearly a quarter of a ton, and apparently has ABS and traction control. And obviously the engine is shared from the Yamaha X-Max 300, and obviously shoehorned into a Tricity body. And obviously the main key question you're going to ask, well, Yamaha Man, you've told me all that, how much does it cost, mate? Well, apparently for a model like this, you're going to have to find £7,547 for it. £7.5 grand for a 300 Tricity bike. Well, 292 in my world. I think we need to discuss. And obviously it's A2 license compliant. So that means on my current situation as a CBT rider, I can't ride this thing. And that's another one I'm going to start talking about. So, colours. Now personally, I don't know what it is at the moment with 2020 in the world. I know we're in a very crazy world at the moment, but everything's grey. Where's all the colours gone? There is no colours for this bike. They're all grey. Or grey, camo, or whatever. Now if you're into that, fine, but personally, well, as I said earlier, I want £7.5 grand for this. That's not even recording, is it? It is. I want £7.5 grand for this bike. And it's grey. Okay. So here's my viewpoints on it. Okay, I'm not expecting you to agree with me, and you may disagree with me. You might say, well, how would you know, how would you know, Yama Man, if you've never rid one? There's riding one and looking at the technical specifications of one and using reality and common sense. So I'm going to start here. So it's an A2 compliant bike, yeah? You can also ride this, and Yamaha have built this for this purpose. You can ride it on your car license, should you have passed a certain date. Okay, I get that. You want to get people out of cars onto bikes, especially here in the UK, where bikes are less popular than in Europe and the rest of the world. Okay, Yamaha, I get that. I get that. Now, the bit I don't agree with here, now, this is not necessarily Yamaha's fault, this is more the law in this country. Every time I try to do a video, the sun comes out and destroys my videos. Anyway, so you can ride this on a car license, and it's A2 compliant if you've got an A2 license. Now, I know a lot in this country, if you're riding bikes, you normally go full access, direct access to A license, so you can ride the big bikes. But if you'd want to stay in the middle field at A2, and you don't have a car license, I don't, that puts me in a bit of a predicament, because I like the Tricity, and I want to ride this A2 compliant bike. Right, now here's my problem. Training schools don't have large autos, right? It's a big problem, right? I want to get away from the 125 class and move up in the world, but I don't want a geared bike. I'm sorry if you are a geared rider. It's just personal choice. I like my autos, you like your geared bikes, but if you like geared bikes, you're probably not here anyway. So I'm just talking irrelevant. So the problem comes is, okay, if I buy, say I bought this bike to learn on, £7,500, but let's just use this as a scenario. So I've got the bike, it's A2 compliant. Now I'm going to do my mod 1, my mod 2 on it, and, you know, try and complete the test. There's a problem with that. To officially pass your test on A2, you have to have a bike of a minimum capacity of 398 cc's. Alright? 292. Right? I'm not going to be able to pass my A2 on that. If I've got a car license, yeah, no problem. So, I'm snookered. I can't ride that. I can't pass my test on that A2 license, right, without finding a bigger bike and then riding that. But see what I mean? That's just one gripe about it. Well, next, suspension wise, it's no better and it's no different as to the 125, just a little bit larger. That's all it is. There's no the front shocks are the same, and yeah, it may provide probably a slightly comfier ride, maybe because of the front tyres being a bit bigger, but personally I don't agree with that. Looking at how it's all set up, it's just an enlarged 125, but obviously with a 292 engine on it. So basically, for your money, the suspension's not really any better. I can't go and ride it on A2 directly, straight out, without a car license. And the other factor, its weight, 239 kilos. That's not far off a quarter of a ton of iron and plastic. Now, again, you could say, well, if you've never rid one, how do you know? But power to weight and all this, 292, yes, it's powerfuler than a 125, granted, I'm not going to lie to you. But you've got 239 kilos sat there. And I'm not saying it's not peppy, you know, but my estimations on the 125 with the variable valve timing that is in that in the blue core engine, and the similar what's blue core technology in this, it would probably be just about double what I've currently got. Now, personally, you're going to find the limitations of that bike very quickly, very quickly. I'm not saying it's not going to move away from the set of lights a lot faster, it will. But it's not impressive, is it, really? Sorry, I don't mean to try and put this Tricity 300 down, but I'm a very realistic person, and if you're asking £7,500 of my pure English money for that bike, I want my value for money, and I'm not feeling it at the moment. And I don't mean to make it sound negative. I mean, as I've said, the styling on the bike is very nice. It is nice. But there is other bikes. I don't really wish to go into the detail of them. I think we all know, and if you follow the three-wheeled world of scooters, you know the other brands out there. Now, yes, we could talk about the reliabilities and etc. Or you could say, oh well, this brand is better than X brand. But I know from the money side of it, you can get a better machine than what Yamaha are currently offering. ABS and traction control, okay, because it's got a bit more poke. Yeah, okay. Safety wise, I like that idea. The ABS side of things, or not, that's another gripe that I have. Now, obviously it's on the 300, but it's not on the 125. Now, I know we are talking about 300, but just whilst we're here, just in the Tricity, talking of ABS. Again, these stupid laws in this country, right? Because the bike, well, let's talk about just the little 125, right? Anywhere else, I think like Europe or Asia or elsewhere, you can buy that 125 model with ABS as standard. Yet you buy that bike here in this country, and it doesn't have ABS because it's got a unified braking system. Because of how the sort of trike world works, it doesn't need it. So you end up with a bike that's got the fittings for ABS, but they took all the shit off it. I know, mate, but that's just my, again, viewpoint on bloody UK law on bloody motorbikes in this country. It's fucking stupid, personally, but excuse my French. I'm just trying to really get some other things with it. Yeah, you can buy an Akrapovic or Akrapovic, whatever you want to pronounce it, exhaust for it, and you can buy a tail tidy for this 300, which it does look nice. And the one at the NEC had it all fitted, but there's not actually a lot for the money side of it. You don't get a lot of stuff with it. There's no heated seat. No heated grips. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure they're all what you have to add to it. Oh, £7,500. I'd want them on there. You know what I mean? I don't know what. It's difficult to describe what Yamaha is actually trying to do here. I do believe at some point there is going to be a Yamaha Tricity 500 to match the other brand. Well, I won't mention it, but we know which brand it is. But also, I said to myself, they've got the Yamaha T-Max, haven't they? You know, the 560 now. So, alright, I know one has 3 wheels, one has 2. But where do you draw the line before one may outweigh the other? If you get what I'm saying. The T-Max is a very nice machine. Yes, it's very expensive. Well, what you get on it. Now, if you was to do that with, say, a 500 Tricity in the future, for all the fancy gubbins on it, again, I know it's down to personal choice whether you want to ride 2 or 3 wheels, but would it start stepping on the toes of the T-Max? So, will the Yamaha do it to a 300 a 500 Tricity? And I don't think they will. And I think personally, I mean, like with this 300 right now, you're going to get a 500 for probably, what we at 7.5 for this. Call it 9.5 grand. Say it's £9,500 for that, a 500 Tricity. And it's going to have nothing on it. And I doubt, I could be wrong, I could stand here and proven wrong a few years from now. But I don't think you're going to have anything on this next generation. So yeah, I've got mixed opinions with this bike. I have. I mean, personally, I mean, somebody, if they was brave enough, could say, look, you've got 30,000 miles worth of experience now, Simon. Please, test ride one. And I could say, you know what were I thinking? You know, it's a very nice bike. And it probably is. It probably is very nice. But certain things just don't stack up. Why would you charge £7,500 for this? I know it's business, you know they want to make money, I get that. But I always said, let me have a look at it, 7.5. Was it about 5,500 for the Yamaha X-Max 300, the actual 2-wheel machine? I think this should have been £6,500 maximum. I think that would have been reasonable for this bike. That extra £1,000, that's just profiteering, I'm sorry. And I don't think it warrants it. If it was a 400, or at least able for me to do that A2 license category of 398 cc's, then I think £7,500 would dearly warrant that money. I really do. I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to follow the Tricity development world. I mean, I've owned the Mark 1 Tricity and now I own the Mark 2 Tricity. And you could say, well, this is the Mark 3 or the Mark 1 of the 300s. So obviously the Tricities originally started in 2014 and went out all the way up to 2016 with the first generation, and from 2017 to now we have the current model which has the NMAX engine in, as we've previously discussed. And then obviously from 2020 we've now got this 300 Tricity here with an X-Max engine. So you can also see where I'm thinking what's happening next as well. I know you could say, well, I might be deviating a little bit off script here, but it's all what I'm thinking as I'm talking about this bike. I reckon the next 125 Tricity will have an X-Max engine in. I've got a feeling. Why would you do a 300 X-Max engine Tricity and leave your 125 counterpart out? I mean, from what I believe last figures, Yamaha have sold, I think in this country alone, nearly 20,000 models of this bike. Okay, that might not seem like massive figures at some bikes, but I suppose for something that people seem to think non-conventional, I suppose that's not too bad. But that's where I think is going to happen next. And also, yes, I think they're also, Yamaha are very much chasing that other branded machine as well. which I can get, I can understand it. I mean, they've had their finger in the pie since at least 2006. So yeah, I can see where Yamaha want a piece of the cake, but at the same time, I also say, don't rush these machines, because this is where you're going to make your balls, isn't it? You're going to end up producing an underpowered, gutless, unequipped machine, but yet then you're going to want to charge a ton of money for it. That seems to me like typical society today. You know, just bang it out the door, whack a great price tag on it, and some fool will buy it. Come on, you've got to have some sense in the world. You can't just say, oh well, it's worth £7,500 because it's got a foot brake as well. You know, so it represents a car. It's not a car, it's a motorbike. I'm sorry, and I mean, even going into riding it on a car license now, some people may disagree with this. Yeah, okay, granted, I get it if you've had many years of riding a car license, in a car. But if you've honestly never rid a bike, you've got no bike experience. And I'm sorry, a bike responds completely different. I don't care whether it's scooter or geared, auto or geared bike. They are completely different to a car. And I think it is ludicrously dangerous. They recommend a CBT, but you don't have to. But somebody that could be driving a car 20-30 years can just jump straight on one of these Tricity 300s with no motorcycle experience. Personally, I think you get yourself killed. I mean, I'm not trying to think here, but at least I've done 4 years of CBT riding experience, and I've got 30,000 miles under my belt now. And yet, what annoys me with the laws in this country is, you know, even after 2 or 3 years experience on CBT, you would have thought there might have been a law to allow you up to 300. So this would have fallen within the category at 292 to allow me, before I'm allowed to have actually a full test. Because for me to want my next test, I don't necessarily want an A license, I want an A2. So this, I can't ride this. I can't pass my test on this bike. So you can see where I wish there was a change in the law that would allow me up to 300 with at least 2 or 3 years experience first. You know, I think that would be fair. But yet, you can have a car license, as I was saying, you can have a car license, no experience, no motorcycle experience whatsoever, and jump straight on a bike that's capable of 85 miles an hour. That don't stack up in my world, but everybody has the right to their own opinion. So there is, I mean, it's not completely Yamaha's fault. End of the day, if the laws are there, they're going to utilise them, aren't they? They're going to say, right, well, where can we make the money? Well, we can make it there. Well, let's do this. And it is crazy. It is crazy. I mean, you know, I could talk about them changing the trike laws in 2012. You know, back in the day, you know, the other brand, I'm not going to mention it because I'm a Yama Man or Yamaha guy. I don't specify in the other brands. But back in 2006, when they originally released the other one, let's talk about the sub 125 that they released, that had stability lock and it had a foot brake. Now in 2012, when the new trike laws changed, they had to lose the foot brake and they had to lose the stability lock because it resembled a car too much. What the? It's a bike. There's no resembling of a car whatsoever. I don't care how wide its wheels are, how much stability lock it's got, or if it's got a bloody damn little poncy foot brake at the bottom. It's not a car. But they changed the laws regardless. So they changed things, and then obviously they changed into the newer model, which was thinner or lighter and fancy. You know, and like my 125 doesn't have the stability. Like, I know it's an immaterial item really, it's not, you know, you put your foot down and you're thingy, but it doesn't have a foot brake either. And the track and the wheels at the front, and I think less than 18 inches apart, something like that. So it qualifies as, so it sits, even though it's got 3 wheels and it's classed as a trike, or my way of looking at it, a backward strike, it still sits in a motorcycle category. But it's only up until you get into these 300 world, obviously the bigger ones, where they're deemed to class them as cars. They're not cars. You've got a motorcycle engine, it's a motorbike. It's just got 1 wheel extra. I'm sorry, but the people that make these laws for these bikes, come on, you don't ride bikes. That doesn't make sense. And if you rode bikes, you wouldn't exclude people like me from being able to ride them. So yeah, I mean, end of the day, I don't mean to make this a complete negative video about the Tricity 300. But as I said, it's a very nice looking bike, and I'm sure it rides very nicely. But there's just, yeah, to me, I'm mixed opinions with this bike. You know, when they originally released the 125 in 2014, and then the second one, I did like it. But I was never lost for words as much as what with this one right now. So yeah, I mean, time will tell as they appear in the showrooms and things change. Again, it'll be interesting as time goes on, as they become second-hand, as to the values of them. I think personally, I mean, if you could get one of these second-hand for under £5,000, I think there would be a good bargain. But obviously we're going to have to be looking at a few years yet. Because obviously naturally, like any scooter, it's going to depreciate in value, and I'm sure 5 or 10,000 miles on a Tricity 300 is going to probably bring it under the £5,000 mark. Yeah, so I think that's all I'm going to basically say on that. Sound like Forrest Gump, don't I, saying that? Life's like a box of chocolates. Certainly is with this thing. But yeah, so Old Turkish Delight, Marmite, you love it or you hate it sort of thing. So yeah, I'm going to leave it here. That's just what I wanted to discuss regarding my thoughts on the bike. I'm not expecting anybody to agree with me or whatever. Again, it's my own personal viewpoints, and obviously I am entitled to my own views. And obviously, as a Yama Man that's about the Tricity, I thought, well, it's about time for me to introduce the 300 to my channel. Maybe one day, maybe I might say, oh look, I've actually got this 300 bike now. But this is just my first overall impressions of it, and obviously my review on it. That's what I think, at least. But yeah, so thank you very much. If you do like the videos, please give them a thumbs up. If you'd like to see a bit more of the content and things, please consider subscribing. Really would appreciate that, because I am trying to build the channel. And yeah, I mean, obviously, as I keep saying in my last video, I am aiming to try and get my videos better, and hopefully in time editing will become better. At the moment it's a bit more raw footage. You are seeing exactly what I see as I'm putting it, sort of thing. So yeah, stay safe out there, because obviously we've still got issues around the world at the moment, and look forward to speaking to you next time. Okay, bye.